Imagine, just for a second, the ground right beneath your feet. It feels solid, right? Totally dependable, completely permanent. But what if I told you that our very existence actually relies on a massive, invisible planetary mechanism that's churning furiously thousands of miles underground? Welcome to today's explainer. I want you to really picture this immense hidden machine. It's basically a subterranean ocean of molten metal roughly the size of Mars, and it is baking at temperatures as hot as the surface of the sun, working around the clock to keep our planet habitable. Now, imagine if that colossal system suddenly experienced a catastrophic failure.
It is the absolute ultimate planetary what-if scenario. I mean, what if the engine of our planet simply shut down? We rarely think about what's happening deep inside the Earth, yet it dictates absolutely everything about how we live up here on the surface. If this engine seized up, it wouldn't just be some minor geological event. No, it would trigger a terrifying planetary domino cascade. So let's track exactly how that hypothetical nightmare would unfold, step by devastating step.
Section 1. The engine shuts down. Okay, let's dive into this and head deep underground.
To understand what happens when this thing breaks, we really have to look at the geodynamo. Deep inside the Earth, there's an outer core made up of superheated liquid iron. Now, this isn't just some static puddle down there. It's a violent, swirling ocean of molten metal. And it's the constant dynamic motion of this liquid iron that literally acts as a colossal generator. It projects a massive magnetic field super far out into space. Basically, without this moving iron, there is absolutely no magnetism.
So here is the step-by-step breakdown of how this actually works. First, that liquid iron churns in the outer core. Second, intense heat from the very center of the Earth creates these massive convection currents. You know, hot metal rises, slightly cooler metal sinks, and it creates this continuous loop. Third, because the Earth is spinning, that rotation actually twists these rising and sinking currents into really complex spiraling columns. And finally, this organized, twisting movement of electrically conductive liquid iron generates our massive magnetic field. This constant rhythmic motion is literally the engine powering our planetary defenses.
But then, it stops. The churning iron abruptly halts. I want you to just pause here for a second and imagine the sheer scale of that mechanical failure. Millions of cubic miles of swirling, boiling liquid metal suddenly locking right into place. The spinning columns halt. The convection currents freeze. The massive generator of our entire planet just powers down into absolute stillness.
Section 2. The invisible shield collapses.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast. With the core halted, we face an immediate, terrifying consequence. Normally, a moving core generates a strong magnetic shield, deflecting incoming cosmic threats and wrapping the Earth in a protective bubble. But with a stopped core, that shield doesn't just crack, it vanishes entirely, leaving the planet entirely exposed to space. It's literally like turning off a light bulb. Suddenly, we're completely unprotected.
But before the major cosmic consequences hit, let's bring this massive planetary physics down to a micro level. What happens here on the surface the very second that field drops? Well, the everyday effects would be bizarre and extremely immediate. You know that compass app on your smartphone? It relies on the Earth's magnetic poles to find north. Without the field, it would just spin aimlessly, which means half the planet is going to get lost just driving to the grocery store. But for biology, it's absolutely tragic. Migratory birds, which use the magnetic field to navigate across entire continents, would instantly lose their sense of direction. They'd just be circling in confusion. Sea turtles traversing entire oceans would drift hopelessly off course. The invisible map of the whole animal kingdom would be entirely erased in an instant.
Section 3. Solar winds strike Earth. And this is where things get really bad.
Because navigation glitches are just the beginning, right? The real threat comes from above. See, the sun doesn't just send us light and warmth. It constantly blasts out what's called the solar wind. This is a relentless, continuous, highly destructive stream of charged particles ejected from the sun and flying through space at incredible speeds. We're talking over 1,000,000 miles per hour. Normally, our magnetic shield catches these particles and deflects them safely around the planet. But without our core-generated shield, there is absolutely nothing standing between us and this intense cosmic radiation.
Let's look at how this builds into our domino cascade. First, the magnetic field dies. Then, those unfiltered solar winds violently strike our upper atmosphere. Think of it like a giant cosmic sandblaster. As these high-energy particles hit, atmospheric molecules are literally blasted into the void of space. Bit by bit, layer by layer, the planet's precious air supply begins to drain away, violently stripped from the planet's gravitational grip by the sheer force of the sun. And this terrifying parallel illustrates exactly where this path leads. Look at Earth today, vibrant, blue, protected by a thick atmosphere that holds in our liquid water and moderates our heat. Now compare that to Mars today. Mars wasn't always a barren desert. Billions of years ago, Mars had a liquid core, a magnetic field, a thick atmosphere, and even oceans of liquid water. But Mars is smaller than Earth, so its core cooled down and stopped moving. When its geodynamo shut down, its magnetic shield vanished. The solar winds swept in and literally stripped the Martian atmosphere away into space. When we look at Mars, we are literally looking at Earth's ghost.
Section 4. Life without a core. The final phase of this cascade.
So, the crucial point is, what is the ultimate destiny for a biosphere? It's an agonizing timeline. Immediately, compasses and animal navigation fail. Fast forward months later, and dangerous cosmic radiation levels spike globally, forcing whatever's left of humanity into deep underground shelters. Years later, as the solar wind sandblasts away our upper atmosphere, the atmospheric pressure drops dramatically, which actually accelerates massive water loss. Eventually, the atmosphere becomes so thin that the mighty oceans of Earth simply evaporate entirely, the vapor whisked away by the solar wind.
The biological consequences here are as grim as they are inevitable. With no atmosphere to speak of, deadly solar radiation completely bathes the surface of the planet. The delicate ozone layer, which currently protects us from ultraviolet light, is completely eradicated. Under that relentless bombardment of solar particles, and with the total absence of breathable air or liquid water, surface-level biology is rendered chemically and physically impossible. To put it bluntly, a dead core means a dead planet. Earth becomes an exposed, barren rock. Just let that sink in for a second. Without that churning iron thousands of miles below us, all our oceans, all our forests, all our grand cities, just erased. Our vibrant blue marble is reduced to a silent, completely exposed, barren rock floating in the dark.
Which leaves us with this final thought for today's explainer. We spend so much time looking up at the stars, worrying about what might come down to strike us. But perhaps we should spend a little more time looking down, cultivating a profound awe for the incredible, violent, swirling miracle of liquid iron that makes our very existence possible. Are we taking the invisible engine thousands of miles beneath our feet completely for granted? Think about that for sure the next time you feel the solid ground beneath your shoes. Thanks for learning with me today, and keep questioning the world around you.